Lovelies, hello. I am so glad to see you here on this coaching page. I am Coach Karen and I am here to serve. So, talking this week to you about resiliency. So, we've heard the word resilience, we've heard the word resiliency, same thing. What does it mean? What is resilience? It is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. I'm going to take issue with the word quickly, but the capacity to recover from difficulties. And this word started creating a lot of buzz because of the COVID pandemic that we're all too well aware of now that we're 2 years into it. So it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this and how am I going to overcome this difficulty? Well, first of all, when you're in a crisis, you're not overcoming the difficulty. You're just kind of coping and using your survival skills. So that's a lot of adrenaline, it's a lot of cortisol, it's a lot of energy going to your big muscle groups away from your digestion. Okay, that's why it's so easy to gain weight around the middle, away from your good sleep because you're so stressed out trying to survive. So let's compare ourselves to dogs. Yes, Coach Karen said compare yourself to dogs. When dogs are on high alert, they don't do anything other than stay on high alert. So my dog Pippa, when it's time for the 4th of July and the fireworks come out, she freaks out. She won't even go to the bathroom. She won't go outside to do that. She won't do anything because she's worried if she lets her guard down, something bad will happen. So think about us. That's what's been going on. So we've been hearing about this because everybody all across the globe is in the same exact situation. We've all been enduring difficulties of various kinds throughout the pandemic. And so there is a doctor in Rochester, Minnesota, Dr. Snood, tied to the Mayo Clinic. And he talks about there are 5 different ways things that have to happen in order for you to practice your resiliency skills. And everybody has different ways of talking about it. So if you've talked about 7 different ways in CBT or DBT therapy or something like that, go right ahead. But we're talking about the same kind of thing. And the first thing to do is draw your mind's eye to gratitude. And you're like, okay, I'm in a pandemic, for example. I'm really not grateful for this. So it's not gratitude for the hardship. It's gratitude for what you have despite the hardship. So that might look like, well, it's a really tough time, but I still have my friends. Oh, it's a really tough time, but I'm still able to do this, that, and the other thing. So gratitude for what you have now. So that's focusing your mind's eye right there on the positive. The second thing is acceptance. This is what's happening. I can't undo it. I can't make it different than what it is. This is what it is, and I'm going to accept that this is the human condition and let it be. Okay? So that might be a stumbling block for some people. Like you're just fighting against the reality of the situation. Or the second thing, acceptance was third. Second is self-compassion. So we have to treat ourselves kindly when we're in a crisis because treating ourselves badly, poorly, critically makes it worse. So if you're all stressed out about anything, clamping down on yourself, being critical, judgmental, angry about your circumstances, that won't actually help you. Remember, we want to overcome the obstacle. That's the goal of this exercise. So if you say, I'm not interested in overcoming obstacles, then this isn't for you. This is for people who say, I am interested in overcoming obstacles. I do want to develop that resiliency, that ability to get to the other side. So gratitude, what do I have that I am grateful for right now? Self-compassion, how can I talk to myself kindly, treat myself well? Kindness in difficult situations. 3, accept my humanity. Other people are going through this as well. We are all connected. So I'm referencing the pandemic, for example. And let it be. I'm human, and there are frailties involved with being a human being. The fourth thing is finding some meaning in the situation. So maybe you can say, I'll go to that silver lining. And maybe there isn't a silver lining, but maybe you can find one. Maybe you can think deeply and say, you know what? Were it not for the pandemic, were it not for connecting on Facebook Lives and Instagrams and doing all this other stuff, I would not know certain people, or I wouldn't have these opportunities, because the pandemic kind of forced us into improving our technology skills. Yes, it did. Now, we don't want to live on the technology platform, right? That's not real living. However, we have all honed our skills because of this. And if you haven't, that's kind of surprising, right? Because this is part of life now. This is an expectation. I would equate using technology at this point in our shared history to having indoor plumbing. At another point in our, not my shared history, but my ancestors' shared history. At some point, everybody had it, okay? And I think that's where we are when it comes to phones, computers, iPads. So finding meaning. And the last one is forgiveness. Forgiveness for what? You're not in charge of the pandemic. It's not your fault it happened. Forgiveness for forgiving yourself for realizing this is a really hard time, and it's really okay that I'm not necessarily at my optimal, at my best. Forgiveness is kind of giving yourself grace space. That's my word for it. Forgiveness of just, you know what, things happen. Does it mean because I had all this extra time on my hands because of the pandemic, I did everything I should to make my life wonderful, my house organized, my rooms painted, my closets done? No, it doesn't. So forgive yourself so that you can just move away from it. So really this whole idea, these 5 different principles, are about unloading, unburdening yourself from the stuff that could keep you stuck in the situation. Do you want to overcome obstacles? Yes. Would this become a life skill for you? Yes, it's a life skill for everybody. How do I overcome what happened to me through no fault of my own? How do I overcome what happened to my family? Whatever it is, how do I do this? Well, you don't do it by holding on to misery, right? It's all of these other virtues: gratitude, self-compassion, this awareness, this deeper meaning. What does this mean in the context of your life? And this kind of sense of forgiveness. So I will put different posts up about this on social media this week on my Instagram and etc. And I'll blog a little bit about this. If you haven't subscribed to my blog, be sure to do that on my webpage, KarenOstromsky.com. So there is more to come. But just a reminder to you, to everyone, resiliency is something that we want to see in our children. We want to see it in our teens. We want to see it in our young adults. We want to see it in our adults. We want to see it in our seniors. We want this at all stages of our life, but we have to work on it. If we get to the other side and we haven't done the work, the thinking, the processing, then we haven't overcome. We've just carried our misery with us. Our baggage is still sitting on our shoulders. And that's really not what we want. That doesn't give our life the meaning that we're looking for, most of us anyway. So I want to thank you for joining me. I'll be doing something a little bit different in March, so stay tuned for that. And remember, you can follow me on YouTube and all this, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I am here to serve. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, be sure to leave them here. Send me a private message. I'd like this to be interactive. I take my cues from whatever it is that you're talking about. Thanks, everybody.